And we're back with some more oxygen not included. And today we're going to put together a little industrial sauna here. We've done the prep work for this ages ago, or well, a bunch of the prep work for it. But now that we've got petroleum accumulating over here, we're going to have to take care of that petroleum sooner rather than later. Otherwise, it's going to fill up all these liquid tanks. In fact, I think I'm going to put down a few extra liquid tanks here just to make sure we've got a bit more time to get this up and running. There, that should buy us just a little bit more time to get this running. We don't want to switch this petroleum boiler off or have it back up, so we need to start burning off that petroleum sooner rather than later. And I would prefer to have something to contain all the heat and the outputs from it. So, yeah, let's see. We want to seal this whole section in, and then we want to start tapping into this obsidian down here. It's quite hot. We can use that to sort of jumpstart this. We've got to put in a lot of steam to fill this whole room, and we're going to have to rip out all the non-steel stuff. Refineries are made out of ceramic, glass, ceramic. Oh, and those polymer presses got to go. I have put plastic polymer presses inside these things before, but the problem is plastic melts at, what temperature is it? 159.9 degrees. That can become a problem. So I usually prefer to remove the plastic presses now. You can do it, just... no, it's a little bit too uncomfortable. We'll stick them up here. That moves the plastic production outside the sauna, but still close enough to take advantage of the cooling going around from the cooling loop we've got active. Oh, and once we turn this on, I'm going to have to remember to disable this cooling loop. Yeah, we're going to have to reroute that because we won't want the cooling loop going through this area. That would be dumb. Really going to have to remember that. Right. Over here, we're probably going to wall this up, say like that. Yep, then we're going to fill this with oil, and then we'll probably have a bead liquid lock, you know, one of these little napta ones on the opposite side, just to make sure nothing crazy goes wrong. This is just the usual vacuum seal airlock with lots and lots of built-in redundancy and strength. The reason I always use these big, large crude oil ones whenever I'm dealing with a large steam room or anywhere where I don't want heat to escape is, it's just the safest one. They just don't break. Whereas these bead liquid locks and most of the other ones, you get drops of water falling on there, drops of liquid, or you get liquids turning from gases to liquids, and a little bit of steam comes across here maybe, and then that steam decides to turn to liquid and displaces it. It can cause all sorts of problems. Crude oil, really hard to move. It should sit there no matter what, and we put it in that temp shift plate right there, so that will draw any heat out of the surrounding area and should heat that up to above boiling before the steam gets a chance to get even near it. With that side done, we need to put in a couple of entrances on this side as well. Something similar to these, just a little bit down lower, and somehow work around all of these power cables and junk that we stuck in here higgledy-piggledy like a bunch of savages. We had to reroute the power a bit. We couldn't just have it running straight through here. Oh, a joint plate in the wall would be a little bit of a heat leak. We'd then have to make some sort of vacuum seal. I wasn't bothered. Over here, I made a bit of a vacuum seal for that joint plate. And for getting the power through here, we're going to have it pass through the air locks, or, well, liquid locks. It's just easier. Now, I didn't put a liquid lock down here. I wanted to have a bit more space, but we might end up converting these as we go. It depends how deep this thing gets. Let's see. That's looking about right. Perfect. Okay, with that finished, there's one thing we need to do before we can even start thinking about it, and that is we have to reroute the entire cooling loop. Yeah, that entire cooling there is not going to be helpful to us anymore, so I say we rotate it back through here, just under the steam turbines and back around. So instead of going all the way through here, it's just going to go under the steam turbines and back across the top. That should work, and all the excess water can get left in the liquid tank. With that done, all we should really need to do now is just reroute this. That should go through there, and we'll sever this line. Perfect. Now we'll have a little bit of a... We're going to have a backup up here until this all clears out, but it should be fine. Yeah, we'll just close that on there. Fine, give that a few minutes, it'll all be sorted. Over here, we're just vacuuming out some places that need vacuuming. That one I'm going to vacuum out because I already put a power wire through there. If I had a thought earlier, I could have just walled it in like this to remove all the gases, and then we wouldn't have needed to put in the gas pump. But hey, it is what it is. Now, once that is finished, I think we're fully sealed, and this place can start getting heated up. Oh, and that means we're going to have to deconstruct a few things. Namely, all of these coal generators need to go. We can replace them with gold ones if we want, but I think we have enough power that we don't need to care. Reason being, we've got geothermal, and our geothermal is going to tide us over quite nicely. Oh, I may have changed some settings down here. Problem was, it was getting too hot. This place was actually starting to overheat because the solar power we'd introduced from our subterranean solar had actually caused us to have a little bit too much power floating around in the network. So this was never turning on, and it was slowly overheating because of the large transformers. Had to break in and make some changes. We'll crank it up to, say, 160C. Actually, no. We'll leave it at 150. There's no need to actually worry about this. This should tide us over for any of our power needs. I don't think this is turned on in ages. In fact, if we check the properties on this, this has not been used at all in the last 5 cycles. None of them have. So they can all be deconstructed. Now we just have to rotate out all the gold amalgam buildings and the gold buildings and replace them with steel or ceramic. Yeah, oh, and glass forge. This thing exchanges temperature with the tiles beneath it, so if you're getting your glass breaking and you're like, why? I've got my insulated tiles coming out of this, why is the glass breaking in the pipe? It's not because the liquid glass is exchanging temperature with the pipe, it's because while it's still inside the glass forge, it's exchanging temperature with the tiles beneath it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to insulate the tiles beneath it. And that should stop it from cracking in here. I've had too many problems with these with industrial saunas in the past, so that makes that much easier to handle. Done. Okay, and we want to make you out of steel. Put you right there, and then we'll get a replace. Oh, and we can get rid of that gold one there. We don't need you. We're going to replace you with a steel auto sweeper. Everything's steel in here. Steel, copper ore doesn't matter. Ceramic, ceramic, ceramic. And once that's replaced with steel, the transformers. I need to get rid of the gold transformers and replace them with steel ones. That's going to be interesting. Some stuff is going to become powered off for a minute. Let's hope it's nothing too important. That's fine. Okay, our little thermoregulator is going to go offline, which will affect our fridge, but I think our fridge is, yeah, it's at minus 44. I think our food will stay cold. And then our power stuff over here, let's just deconstruct all of this here, and yeah, those gold transformers new. I just basically doubled down. We put 2 transformers to each power line. Doesn't matter, so long as we're not drawing more than 2 kilowatts of power anyway, so 1 transformer or 2 feeding the same line shouldn't make a difference. Oh, and we can get rid of all of these pipes that are going everywhere. You can all go. And you as well. Might as well just do the cleanup now while we've got the chance. And finished. Okay. We're also going to move... Well, the reason we're rushing all this is we want to move... get the petroleum generators and stick them in there. And we need to get the petroleum generators in there before this fills up, or else we're going to have to shut off that, and I prefer not to. Oh, and we also need to get the oil wells running so that our crude oil doesn't run out. But that we have a little bit more time frame on. Okay, I think... Oh, and we got to get the gases out of here. Yeah. Once we start taking the gases out, though, those transformers are going to start overheating. Might be an idea to put in a quick layer of petroleum around them. Or water? Actually, a little bit of water might not hurt. We could stick in a tile there. Like, all we really need to keep cool is the transformers. We put a thin layer of water around them. Once it eventually turns to steam, we won't have to care. Yeah, layer of water around the transformers. Everything else in here won't require gases. You see, transformers produce heat. They continuously produce heat, whether or not they're being used, just as long as they're getting power and there's something that could potentially draw power from them. The other buildings in here don't, so the rock crusher won't generate heat unless it's in use, same with the metal refinery, and they don't actually produce that much of it. So you can leave them in gas or vacuum for long periods of time. Lights gotta go as well. We'll get rid of the lights, they could cause problems too. We can replace them later with steel lights. So what we want to do is just put down a thin layer of liquid. We'll put down salt water, actually. We've got a bunch of salt water lying around the place. So you can go there, you can go there. Thin layer of salt water should keep them from overheating as we strip out the gases. Once we turn this whole place into a steam room, it won't matter anymore. There, no need to worry about them overheating anytime soon. Now we just got to put in maybe a few more temperature shift plates. I used obsidian early on, but I'm thinking granite is a better one, but I put in obsidian in here for different reasons. And I think we'll just go with a checkerboard pattern, otherwise it's just going to take too long. This might take a minute. Actually, no. We have a really good team. They'll get this done super fast. And let's measure this more in how much oil we're going to accumulate in that period of time. We're on to like our 5th tank almost. Yeah, we can do this pretty fast, I'd say. Well, that's 5 full tanks, and progress-wise, it's looking pretty good. We've even started pumping out the gases. Kind of had forgotten about that for a little bit. Alright, so we'll get the gases out, we'll get the power going, and... Oh, 1 second. There we go. Once that's hooked up, we should have this place up and running in no time at all. Though I'm still worried that I've forgotten something and something's going to fry. But you always get that feeling when you're running one of these things. I think we're done. We've got rid of all the gases. Liquid-wise, we've got a fair chunk of liquid down here that should turn into steam. Now we just got to steam the whole place up. I know I'm forgetting something, but you know what? We are going to rip out the gas pumps anyway. We want to get rid of those because we don't want them pumping anything else out. First step, we're going to remove this entire step. We're going to take this all out, and that should put us in contact with hopefully some boiling abyssalite that will flash all of this water into steam. I don't think it'll immediately turn this place into a steam room, but it should help. Temperature-wise, everything's looking a bit fine. How are you guys doing? 73 degrees. Yeah, they're slowly but surely going to get hotter and hotter, but not to worry. There we go. A little bit of... Yeah, that's some bits of light flaking. People call it a bug or an intended mechanic. I don't know. All I know is it's going to help us steam this place up. There you go. Done, done, and done. Yeah, that's not how that was supposed to happen. That temperature shift plate was supposed to make sure that this stuff was above 100 degrees before steam got near it. I don't think the abyss light flicking is listening to us. Okay, then in that case, you can go as well. We can deconstruct all of you, and we can start digging down a little bit deeper. Yeah, you can go. All of you up to about there can go, and that should hopefully reveal a little bit more abyssalite that we can take advantage of. Once we get down into the obsidian, though, we're going to be just straight up boiling the bejesus out of this. Temperature seems to be spreading out a bit. It'll be a little bit of time before the rest of this place is a steam room, but actually, we could break open this section. No. No, should we? It would definitely speed things along a little bit. There's 90 kilos of steam pressure in each one of those tiles. I think first thing to do, though, is maybe get rid of these. I'd like to see how much pressure we're dealing with. Get rid of that, see how much pressure we've got going on, and we'll figure it out from there. Ooh, tiny bit of a problem there. Some of the lead wiring melted. We've maybe exposed stuff that's a little bit hot down here, and it seems the lead just couldn't take it. That's fine. We'll replace it with iron. Once we get the iron in there, it'll be grand. Oh, and I think it's about time we started letting this steam in. However, we're going to need to put some flow control in this. We don't want to cool this down to below 125. We want to keep it at about 140 or so. 140, just so that we have power to draw on when we need it, and we can start taking out steam as needed. Because the power generators here are going to be spitting out polluted water, and we want that polluted water to instantly flash to steam. Okay, oh, and that reminds me. This entire section here can go. We don't need any of those bottle emptiers just yet. We've got about 20 kilos of pressure. We're probably... What I want to do is keep this around 20 kilos of pressure, because that's what an Atmos sensor can handle. If we go above 20 kilos of pressure, we're probably going to have to filter out some water and keep it a bit lower. And we're going to be dumping in CO2, and it's going to get really complicated. It's going to get really messy, but I think we should be able to handle it. That's enough heat injection down here. I'm almost tempted to put insulated tiles over this, but I think it's better off if we bite the bullet and let this steam mix in. Let's actually do this the old-fashioned way. Let's take out a block there, one there, and basically alternate so that at least our duplicants can hop back and forth. If we just try and remove it all, you just know some duplicants are going to isolate themselves somewhere and mess it up. Or I could not be a muppet about this, and instead, let's just grab a bunch of copper. Copper ore. Done. That means the duplicants won't get themselves messed up, and at the same time it'll still allow all the gases through, and liquids. In fact, we're going to do the same down here, and a little bit down here as well. We want all of that liquid to be able to fall all the way to the bottom. Oh, and we're going to want to put in... Ooh, I'm thinking one right there. This one is going to be what drains the water out of the system if there's too much steam in there, and these ones are going to be the ones that try to dump water back in to cool the whole place down. And there we go. Heat's breaking back in. I hate the way water drops in there, but yeah, this is why we use crude oil. Crude oil is the way to go, or large, solid liquid locks are just the best way to go if you're going to be dealing with messes like this. Okay, done. Gas is spreading out. Pressure is dropping everywhere over there, and in here it's going to get higher. Yeah, and once the steam starts to get up there, you can see the temperature over here is about 160. Down here it's 180, and it's almost 200 degrees here at the bottom. We need these to start kicking in. Well, I'll be. We're actually below steam pressure in here. We've got 16 to 17 kilos per tile. We need this to be about 20, so we're going to dump some more water in here, which would help cool down this area. And excellent, that actually gets that lead to solidify again. In fact, we might sweep this area just now. Just let's sweep that up real quick while we've got the time. Get that out of the way because we're going to be digging out this whole section. In fact, all of this can go. It may heat up our centralized storage a tad, but I think we're going to have to just live with that. In fact, what we can do is we can run this pipe up through here. And there we go. That should make sure that won't overheat. Might get a little toasty in there at times, but we should make sure any phosphorus and stuff in there doesn't heat up so much that it melts. I've had that happen in the past. It's the joy and the negative of having centralized storage. The joy being, though, it definitely improves frames. Alright, that seems... What do we got? Got about 20 kilos of pressure through there. We're just about at the right temperature. In fact, I think that's good enough. you can all go. And I think we start putting in the power generators now. We can start bringing up the oil. And why is that? Have you guys not replaced that yet? I feel like that should have been replaced a while ago. Some sort of errand got misplaced. Yeah, you guys can replace that now. Once these are removed, we're going to switch over and put in plug in the petroleum. We've gone up to, we were at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there a while ago. Now at 6, 7, 8, 9, and coming on 10. Glad we put in these extra tanks. Let's see if we can't get this moving before the rest of those tanks fill up. Yeah, we'll put in the power generators down here. It's 6 kilos we're doing per second, so 3 petroleum power generators should be able to handle this. And we just need to put in some tiles beneath them. We chucked on an extra petroleum generator because I realized we've got to burn off some excess right about now. So we can have 3 petroleum generators just to burn off what we want, or, well, to burn off our consistent production, and then 1 extra one to burn off any excess we get. And up here I am still slowly but surely dumping temperature in here, but I got distracted because I also want to melt a smaller one as well. So now we're actually doing both at the same time. I'm thinking there's a way to actually melt the liquid Spacefarer ports, and there might be a way to melt those diamond window tiles as well. We might be able to burn everything out of here except for the door. Though no promises just yet. I'm doing a whole bunch of experimenting on the side. Right, but first, we also need to worry about another thing, and that is, well, plan would be all of these would be our backup storage in case something goes horribly wrong and we need to run on reserves. Then this tank up here would be, well, what we need to burn off if we get an excess. So we need to be able to send automation signals from here up to the top of the map. And for that reason, we're going to go with a ribbon. We can read and write onto a ribbon. Been a while since I played around with one of these, so I'm going to have to spend a minute or two figuring this out. But I think it can't be that hard, right? Okay, I think I got it. But I've probably messed it up just a little bit. We've rerouted all the plumbing here so that these things all pass through one another. And these are going to be our backup tanks. Then they're going to connect over there. Actually, let's just cut that out now. And that should mean, yeah, that oil is now going to start flowing up towards the top of the map. And it's going to go all the way up here and go over to our petroleum generators. Now, petroleum generators, they don't know when to turn on and when to turn off because, you know, they're going to burn too much. They're going to burn 8 kilos and we're only producing 6 kilos per second. So what happens here is petroleum goes along, goes up here. If this tank over here goes, hey, we've got above 60%, or we've got 65% petroleum in here, it activates the generators upstairs, they turn on. If we go below 60, it turns them off. That way we always have a little bit of a backup, or, you know, we've got all of these tanks sitting here. And we can set up some other automation to make sure we can turn on the generators if we really need them, even if this is not working out. So that means this is a signal coming from here, has to go through a NOT gate, gets fed into this ribbon reader. It's set to bit 1. This one over here says, hey, if there's any oil in this tank whatsoever, well, 10%, burn it off. Immediately turn on the on signal, and that's going to send up a signal up here to this one. So if there's too much oil down there, this petroleum generator will turn on. If there's just a normal amount, these 3 will turn on. And done-ish, I think. Now I just have to set up the overflow. So all the petroleum goes in here. We definitely have too much petroleum right now, so we want you to only add on if there's no more. So how are we going to add you on? It'll probably work. If we have any issues, I'll come back and check it out. Oh. Now we face another problem. What the? Why isn't any one of those on? No, both of them are up. Did the petroleum just arrive? There we go. Perfect. Ooh, and we might want to hook up the plastic as well. I mean, why not? While we're here, I suppose a little bit of plastic couldn't hurt. I think we're running short. I want you to come up here, pop across, quick bridge. Finished. That should at least give us a bunch of plastic as well. Okay then. And what's the pressure looking like in here, guys? 21 kilos or so. When this pressure starts to go above 20 kilos, we're going to want to start draining it. Oh, and carbon dioxide. How's that looking right about now? Gases. Yep, those petroleum generators are going to give off carbon dioxide, which is going to float to the bottom, and we're going to need to deal with that, and it's going to change pressures and do all sorts of things. But it's okay. It's okay. We have plans for all of this stuff. First, though, we need to get ourselves a liquid tank. We need a liquid tank to store all the excess steam. As this petroleum comes in, this stuff's going to start outputting 750 grams of polluted water. Oh, 740... Ooh, that's potentially up to 3 kilos of water coming in here per second. We're going to need you two over there. We need some way of straining out that 3 kilos of extra liquid just in case. So, you, give me an atmo sensor. You know what, let's mix most of this stuff out of aluminum from here on in, namely because aluminum is renewable. If the gas pressure in here goes above 20 kilos, we're going to want you to switch on these things over here. Then we're going to want to get the output from them, and we're going to send it to a liquid storage tank. We want to drain the liquid out of here. We can't be putting it back in. Where's the close place to make a liquid tank? Well, we can't place it here. We can't place it here. Whoa. This whole ice biome would melt quite nicely. Yeah, why not? We can turn this into a giant liquid tank. Might take a minute. While we're coring out this area, I've finally figured out the oil properly. This took me a minute or 3 to actually do it right. Ugh, I was messing it up the whole time. Actually, I'm just going to make this a little bit neater as well. There, that's better. Okay, so I completely rerouted all of this because I was doing it, well, assways the first time round. Petroleum will come in from over here, gets dumped into this liquid tank, and then all the way through before eventually getting set up to our petroleum generators. So long as this is 60% or more full, it'll turn on the 3 generators. Any overflow gets sent up here and dumped into this liquid tank. Now, we've got a bunch of liquid tanks behind it that are already full, but let's assume that all of those have emptied at some point. So any overflow will get dumped in here. This liquid tank will go, hey, I've got too much liquid in here, and that will send an automation signal upstairs, and that will turn on the 4th generator to burn it off. To make sure that the oil flows in properly, it's actually pumped across here and dumped in across this section. So you notice this is still getting filled. We had to do it before this tank because I'm an idiot and should have been doing this from the start. You do it before the tank, that fills this up and make sure it goes in, because if we try and do it this end, it just keeps pumping water from this tank. It's pointless, and this thing never empties. Okay, so now, a save game file will be attached. So now what should happen is, so long as we have too much petroleum in here, this one will activate the 4th generator, and it'll get burned off. And in here right now, the gas pressure is up to 26 kilos in places, 27. Ooh, yeah, we have to excavate out this liquid tank a little bit faster. Let me see, I think we're going to want to put how are we going to get that liquid pipe up there? Shitty. Yeah, that was it. I'm going to do it this direction. Give me a couple more minutes. I'd like to sweep out this gunk before we let it all in. I'm going to let the hot water we're pumping in there melt this biome, and then we'll extract all the nice stuff like the wolframite and things like that. I think we can start pouring in the water now. We haven't actually excavated at the top here, but the important bit is this atmo sensor here. If the temperature is above 20 kilos of pressure, which it currently is, then these 2 steam turbines will activate and start pumping out 4 kilos of water per second. That will get pumped all the way over here and dumped into our new liquid tank. Then we can start actually taking the tops off here. Give me a minute. I think we're going to excavate out just a little bit of this to let the water flow down. I mean, we want to leave the ice and the snow because we want that to melt and turn into liquid we can use. Now, I know this is not your traditional water tank. We're letting the water accumulate here. It's going to heat up that wolframite, and the heat will transfer through to everything. And, well, eventually this whole thing will be cored out and turned into a water tank. But for now, it's still accessible by our duplicants, and until the water overflows and this whole thing starts to melt, it's at least mildly useful. But it's forward planning. Forward planning. All right, over here. And the problem we face is there's still a bunch of carbon dioxide in here. Eventually, we're going to stick in slicksters, and the slicksters will eat the carbon dioxide. But we're still going to need to get rid of the excess. So we're going to need to put in some gas pumps in here. More than a few. In fact, I think we're going to need exactly 4 gas pumps to make this work. We got to run 4 gas pumps here just to keep the gas pressure below. Oh, and let's make sure of something here. Yeah, this whole area is pretty consistently carbon dioxide, but we may need to let it go up a little bit further before we start pouring this out. Once the steam pressure starts to go down a bit, or go down a bit up here, that should mean this CO2 should spread up a little bit higher. And once it hits about this level, we're going to want to have it ready to start sucking out the carbon dioxide before it takes over the whole room and starts stifling everything. Since we don't have any slicksters around to suck up the carbon dioxide, we need to take that 500 grams per second that's coming out of each one of these and suck it out of here. However, we wouldn't want to take too much. We take too much carbon dioxide out, and then we'll end up sucking steam down, and we don't want to do that either. So, how we balance it out is as follows. This here is going to keep pulling out steam until there's only 20 kilos. And this here is going to detect if there's carbon dioxide in this section. If there's carbon dioxide as high as here, this is going to turn on these gas pumps. Now, we've just set up some AND gates here so that to make sure that both sensors are triggered as opposed to just one. That way we have, just to make sure that, you could end up with a blob of carbon dioxide going in front of one sensor, and yet most of this area could still be steam. So with 2 of them, it's far less likely. We also stuck a little bit of a wall right there, namely to stop any of the steam that's coming out of these. Every time these things spit out water, it creates steam. We want that to go up and over, and it's far less likely to come down and get sucked into these gas pumps. Then, because there's carbon dioxide as far up as here, these gas pumps turn on, and they start pumping it. And it goes up and up and up and up and space. Basically, yeah, vacuum of space, that's where we're going to dump it. Done. And this should even out to about 20 kilos. You see, this is going to even out the steam to 20 kilos, those two steam turbines. And this, combined with these gas pumps and this section over here, is going to even the carbon dioxide out to about 20 kilos. So even if we do, once we introduce the slicksters in here, they'll start soaking up some of the carbon dioxide, and the gas pumps will just take the excess. And that's it. It should be a stable system that all stabilizes out to about 20 kilos, and we can still use it for other stuff like smelting metal and things like that. Well, currently all of our metal smelting is going into making our rockets melt. I'm doing some playing around up there. We'll see how it turns out. Okay. So, liquid tank installed. Oh, and it's melting all of that stuff. Excellent. How's the temperature looking? Perfect. Absolutely perfect. It'll melt all of that and it'll give us a whole bunch of water. Got to do one last thing, though, before this is finished. We need to go back down here. Actually, this should be just about finished, is it? You're down to... Are you on or off? Nope, you're still triggering that upstairs generator. Once this kicks off, we should be able to catch up with the backlog upstairs. There's just a bit too much CO2 and steam up there right now because we've got too many of these things going all at the same time. But we do need to start producing more crude oil, which means we need to take some of that water we're producing. And, oh yeah, we're definitely gone down another level. We've lost at least 2 or 3 blocks so far. We need to tap into that oil reservoir and probably... Where's the other one? I know there's a second one around here somewhere. Ah, there's that one. Oh, and there's a third one over there. But I'm thinking only 2 oil reservoirs is all we're going to tap into for now. We are not doing anything complicated with oil reservoir. Oil reservoirs, very simple, very easy to use. Though I have seen some interesting designs where they melted the oil reservoir. It's actually made of sedimentary rock, so they melted it, which got rid of its hitbox. And then they boiled oil directly out of it by feeding water into it. And the water turned it into, like, superheated water, 1 kilo at a time in a pipe so it wouldn't state change. And I think they managed to make it, turn into it like a mini sour gas boiler. Or was it a petroleum boiler? Never mind. It was a very interesting way of doing things, though. The most simplistic of oil wells. Basically, it spits out oil, the oil overflows over the top, and then pops out here and falls into the basin. We do have to get water to it, so the water is going to come all the way from over here. Oh, which reminds me, we need to put in a desalinator on top of this. If we don't put in a desalinator, it's not going to work. And we'll just leave the desalinator out here underwater. Actually, we might want to put in a water tank as well. And the water flows. 4 kilos. That's more than enough to run 3 oil wells. Well, it's actually enough to run 4 oil wells. These things only take about 1 kilo per second, but we'll only start with 2. We may end up going up to a third at a later date, but for now, that should get that started. Once the oil gets above there and seals that off, we'll vacuum out the rest of it so there'll be nothing in there but the natural gas. That natural gas we can then pump into feed into our food. Great thing about these is they don't overpressurize it to natural gas. You can have thousands of kilos of natural gas in here and this oil well will not care. But we'll worry about that later. For now, we got to put in another one over here. I think we're going to be maybe chopping off this section and adding it to the oil biome. And I want to make sure that all of that oil flows in there without us having to do any pumping. So something like that. Actually, might extend that a little bit further. So the plan would be the oil will overflow out of this, roll along this, and end up going off the edge. Just got to figure out how we're going to squeeze in here. Actually, this place is already way too hot. Yeah, we can combine the 2 of these areas, at least for a wee bit. While that oil stuff is going on, we should be just about capable... Yes, there we go. Come on. Oh, seriously? It's not going to melt the second one? Well, that's a problem. Nope, no, actually it's not. It's not. We can still let it flow through. I was worried we were about to lose the uranium there. Okay then. Oh wait, we did lose some of the uranium, didn't we? I thought this was going to be so much simpler. Okay, so the steel has come out. We've also got some magma from some melted pipes. People can come in there and mop that, right? In fact, we will just mop that one piece in the center. They'll be fine. There you go. Excellent. Then we can just continue on. Nope, cancel that. I don't want to overwrite the tungsten. Actually, might be an idea to do it that way. I was going to try and save some of the liquid steel, but now I'm just thinking, you know what? Who cares? we'll let that all go. We also have this one, and we've managed to core out the first 4 tiles, which reminds me we can mop that up. This is all stuff I'm preparing for the next episode, where we're going to build ourselves a rocket or two that can, you know, be super self-sustainable and fly around to different planet strip mining places. On the actual oil front down here, this has sort of worked, but not quite. Problem is we need to make this 1 tile higher, otherwise the gas pumps can't quite fit in. So all we'll do is we'll just stick in some stairs across there, or some ladders, and then we can deconstruct this stuff from the inside. Done, and that should give us enough space to stick in the gas pump. I was doing a little bit of experimenting around here with the liquid lock, but you can see that the oil is overflowing off the edge and going into this tank. And over here, oil is overflowing off the edge and also flowing into the liquid tank. This way we don't have to do any piping or pumping or anything like that. It just comes out of the oil wells, flows into where it needs to go, and we're done. Saves a whole bunch of effort. And if we move those gas pumps up 1 tile, what we can do is save ourselves a whole bunch of effort on the gas pumping as well. And that is it. I think we've managed to actually sustainably finish all the petroleum boiler stuff. Well, semi-sustainably. This magma will eventually run out in a few thousand cycles. Though, we could overclock that volcano. No, not now. Not now. I've got other stuff that needs doing. Alright, petroleum boiler boils the petroleum. Okay, the crude oil comes out of the oil wells. Oh, damn it. Okay, now let's go back another level. Alright, so this produces salt water. It averages 2.8 kilos per second forever. We take 2 kilos of that and we dump it into 2 oil wells. Those 2 oil wells spit out about 6.666 kilos of crude oil. 6 kilos of that we feed into this. Now, the reason we feed in 6 is sometimes this has got to be vented. This thing produces natural gas, and the natural gas comes out at 230-something degrees, which is why we leave it submerged. You see, there was problems in the past where if you vented this, the natural gas had come out, it was so hot, it would heat up the oil well above 100 degrees, the oil well would transfer its heat to the water inside it, and the water inside it would flash to steam inside the oil well and then spray out and contaminate everything up here. However, if you submerge it in oil, the oil has enough thermal mass that it can't go above the 100 degrees, so you're fine. I think they've patched that since, but I'm still too paranoid to even risk it anymore, so now all my oil wells are submerged in oil. The oil bubbles out of here, flows over the edge, and ends up in this tank. And then we take 6 kilos per second. Oh, we'll probably have to set up some automation to stop it overflowing. We might put like a liquid sensor up here, and if the oil goes above that point, we turn off the oil wells, just in case. But that's for a later date. For now, I think we're fine for several thousand cycles, or at least a few hundred. Anyway, that crude oil gets fed into here, gets turned into petroleum. The petroleum gets stockpiled in this. Once this goes above whatever 65 threshold, it starts burning it off upstairs by turning on three petroleum generators. If we end up with more than that for some reason, we have some default built in to activate a 4th petroleum generator. Anyway, those 6 kilos of petroleum go up here, get burned in this, in our industrial sauna. So, the polluted water that comes out of this gets boiled because, well, it's so hot in here already, plus all of the heat-producing buildings that are in here, and we don't have to use any sand or anything or any water saves. It just straight up boils in here. It also helps that we're sitting right on top of, well, a lot of hot rock. Anyway, that boils, turns into steam. The steam and the carbon dioxide, actually, it also spits out 500 grams of carbon dioxide per generator. The steam, if it gets too high in pressure in here, gets filtered out here, where 4 kilos of it can be filtered out per second if needs be, and gets dumped over into our liquid storage tank. Carbon dioxide, once the pressure gets too high, gets filtered out by these gas pumps, which send it off into space to be disposed of. And this is infinitely sustainable. In fact, the water we get out of this could be fed back into the oil wells as well. So we could also take the water from here, though it's a little bit early for that now. I'd prefer to wait until this water tank has matured a bit and maybe melted everything. Once it's done that, then maybe we can come back. So with that finished, we have just oodles of power. I should really hook up some batteries here as well, like a battery or two that would say, hey, we need more power on the grid. However, that doesn't really seem necessary right now because we've still got this geothermal power. So this petroleum power was probably too much. But that also gives us petroleum to feed into our plastic generation, and it gives us petroleum that we can now start feeding into our petroleum rockets. Did we need to do all that for the petroleum rockets? No. Did we want to? Yes. So that's how we've ended up here. Oh, and in here we've got a little bit of liquid steel left behind, and over here we've got a little bit of liquid steel left behind. How are we going to store that liquid steel? Well, let's see how this works. I would like all of our liquid steel to be stored in here. Now, this is airflow tiles. We made them out of copper because, why not? So Duplicants should come along, drop the steel in here. The airflow tiles will not transmit any heat between them, because airflow tiles don't transmit heat without a medium, so there need to be gas of some sort around here. Go for it. And... okay. So, anything heating up down here? No, airflow tiles are like, we don't care. Perfect. Now you may be wondering why there's these insulated tiles around it, if the airflow tiles are going to keep it completely insulated. That's to do with gases. Any gases get in here to cause a problem, so we've made sure that any gases that come in here have to go around these insulated tiles and come up across the top or something. If I could, I'd make this a little bit taller. In fact, maybe we should. You know what? Let's put that up to there and there, just to make sure those gases have to go a little bit further. Because the moment we start launching rockets, you know some gases are going to spread across here and cause problems. But now we have liquid steel storage, and yeah, that should work. I'll keep an eye on that, but I think we can draw steel out of there as needs be. And we've already melted one rocket, and we've got well, this one we can move those pipes up just a little bit and melt the next 4 tiles, and that will give us access to this. And this one over here, all we got to do is run a few more batches around, and we can melt out that one. But I am going on holidays next week, and since I'm going to be away, I'm not going to be doing oxygen unincluded. Actually, wait. Let me check the gases here for a second. Yeah, those gases are a bit all messed up, but that should even out and stay reasonably stable. And the bigger we make this room, the better. I'm going to be digging out a vacuum gap here at some point, because we can't cool down this entire rock. It's going to take too long. If we, say, dug in from the side here using a vacuum seal, we could dig this area out, and then all we have to do is cool down, say, this. If we only have to cool down that section, we can cool it down pretty quickly, and then we can start putting in slickster ranches so we can start taking care of that carbon dioxide. Also gives us a bigger sink to put the carbon dioxide into, so we don't have to, it's not quite so cramped in here. But yes, holidays next week. Going to Edinburgh. Haven't been there before. You'd think, you know, Scotland, right beside Ireland, you think I would have, and they have whiskey, which I really love. You think I would have been, nope, I've never been. Looking forward to drinking all your whiskey, Scottish people. If anyone's got any suggestions for places to go, let me know. Preferably whiskey places, of course. What I'm going to try and do between then and now, though, is get a few episodes out of a random game I saw someone playing, and I'm like, that looks dumb, but not so difficult I couldn't have some fun with it in a couple of days, because I'm not leaving until the week next week, so, or not next week, I'm not leaving until Tuesday, so I can probably get in a couple episodes of stuff to hopefully get out over the weekend while I'm gone, or over the week while I'm gone. No promises, though. Anyway, I'm going to leave you there. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck.